Hello everybody and welcome to another episode. In today's episode I'm going to show you how to do a full service interval and also how to replace or remove the oil pan from any Volkswagen Crafter with the engine 2.0 Tdi. The car which I'm working on today, it's a Volkswagen Crafter made in the year 2015, and on this vehicle I'll have to do a full service interval. I'll have to replace the oil and also all the filters on the car. And also after I'm going to remove the oil from the oil pan, I'm going to remove the oil pan just to check for any leaks, and also I want to check the belt for the oil pump, because this engine from this kind of vehicle has an oil pump which is driven by a belt, and in some cases if you don't check the belt regularly or if you don't replace the belt regularly on this kind of engines, the belt can snap and you'll have no pressure of oil into the engine and you can destroy the engine because of that. So right here, as you can see, this is the big oil pan from this kind of engine, and to do a full service interval on this kind of engine, you'll need 7 liters of brand new oil to put it back into the engine. And if you want to replace or remove the oil pan, you'll have to remove all the bolts from around it, but before trying to remove all the bolts which are securing the oil pan attached to the engine, you'll have to drain all the oil first out of the engine. So if you decided to remove the oil pan from this kind of vehicle or from any other vehicle which is made by Volkswagen with the engine 2.0 Tdi, you'll have to take in mind first that doing this job is not a very easy job. In some cases it can be very complicated, and the most complicated part on this kind of vehicle is to remove the 2 bolts which are securing the oil pan attached to the engine from the middle part, right between the gearbox and between the engine, because you'll have right there 2 screws which normally can't be removed without turning the engine in a special position until it will give you access to the bolts and until you'll be able to remove them out from the oil pan. So the first thing which you have to do if you want to remove the oil pan from this kind of vehicle, and especially from a Volkswagen Crafter with the engine 2.0 Tdi, is to remove the steering rack out from the position. You'll have 4 bolts which are securing the steering rack attached to a subframe, and you'll have to remove them and move it a little bit out of the way, because you'll have some bolts which are mounted right over the steering rack, and if you don't move it out of the way, you'll have no access to the bolts which are securing them mounted in place. After that, right here behind the gearbox, you'll have 6 bolts which are securing the oil pan attached to the gearbox, and you'll have to remove all of these 6. After that, you have to remove all the bolts from around the oil pan, and then you can lower the oil pan and remove it out from the vehicle. Right now, in my case, I'm going to do the full service interval on this kind of engine, and after I'm going to finish it, I'm going to show you all how to remove the oil pan from this kind of vehicle. Until I'm waiting for the oil to completely drain out from the oil pan, I am going to show you all how to remove and replace the pollen filter from this kind of vehicle. And on this vehicle, the pollen filter is this one from right here. And before trying to remove it, I recommend you all to use some comprimated air and blow all the dirt out from the location of the pollen filter. And after that, you can go ahead and install the brand one into its place. Very good everybody, now that the pollen filter is replaced with a brand new one, I am going to show you all how to remove the oil filter, and also right here it is the air filter which I am going to disconnect and remove it out from the engine. And after that I am going to show you all how to replace them with brand new ones. So the first thing which you have to disconnect on this kind of air filter is the connectors from the left side. After that the bigger hose which is coming out from the turbine, then this little hose which is coming out from the engine and which you have to put oil into it. Then on the right side this bigger plastic tube, and in the last the plus cable for the battery which is attached to the air filter box. After that the air filter box can be removed out from the engine, and then I recommend you all to use some comprimated air and clean the engine area very good, just to be safe and just to make sure that no debris can fall into the engine. And before trying to clean the engine with some comprimated air, you'll have to block the left pipe which is coming out from the turbine, because we don't want to put any dirt and debris into it and create damage to the turbine. After you finish cleaning the engine with some comprimated air, right here in this place, it's the oil filter of this engine. You'll have to remove the oil filter and replace it with a brand new one. So to replace the oil filter on this kind of engine, you'll have to pull it out from the housing. You'll have to replace also the 3 O-rings which are installed over the oil filter housing, and after that you have to install the brand new O-rings into their place and also the brand new oil filter into its place, and you have to put it back over the engine and tighten it to 25 Newton meters. One very important thing which I recommend you all to do before trying to install the oil filter back into the engine is to take some oil and lubricate the O-rings very good, just to make sure that while you are trying to install it back into the engine, you are not chipping the O-rings or breaking them in any way. Okay everybody, so the oil filter is installed back over the engine. Right now I will go ahead, I will replace the air filter, and the air filter on this car is right here into this bigger box. You'll have to lift the top of the box out and put it out of the way. Then you have to remove the old air filter and install the brand new one into its place, and after that you have to install all the parts back together and you have to install them back over the engine. Alright everybody, so as you can see, all the filters are almost replaced from this kind of vehicle. The only filter which you have to replace is the fuel filter, but I'm not going to replace it on this kind of vehicle because there is no need to. I replaced it the last time when I did the service, and the owner told me that he don't want to replace it right now because the car is behaving and working perfectly fine. But let's say that you want to replace the fuel filter, and the fuel filter location is right here next to the fuel reservoir, and you have to remove 2 hoses which are attached to it, and you have to pull it down, and then you have to install the brand one into its place. And normally you have to put a diagnose and turn on the fuel pump, but there is no necessarily. I think it's also working if you put the ignition a few times until the pump will push fuel into the new fuel filter on this kind of vehicle, and then you can start the vehicle up right away. And right now, the next thing which I'm going to do is to remove the oil pan from this kind of vehicle. And like I told you at the beginning of this video, you'll have to remove first the steering rack and move it out from the way. I removed the 4 screws which are securing it attached to the subframe, and the steering rack is moved out from the way. As you can see, I have some space right here to put the tool and remove the bolts which I have to remove from the oil pan. Also in my case, I already removed the bolts from the back of the gearbox. I removed the 6 bolts which are securing the gearbox attached to the oil pan. And as you can see right here, the steering rack is disconnected. It's moved out from the way a little bit. And now I have access to remove the bolts which I have to remove from this area. Already, so far I removed a few bolts, the 2 bigger bolts which are installed right here. The first one is going right here in this hole. It's a little bit tricky to remove this one because it's hitting into the mounting bracket of the steering rack, but if you move the engine a little bit to the right, it can create space and it will come out from its place. After that, the second one is right here in this corner, and then the screws from right here from the back of the gearbox, I managed to disconnect and remove them. And now the next thing which I'm going to do is to remove the 2 little screws which are a little bit difficult to remove, and also the rest of them which are mounted all around the oil pan. Right here I have the 2 screws which are the bigger ones and which are mounted right here. The first one is right here in this box, in this hole, and the second one is going right here in the other hole. Right now, the next thing which I'm going to do is to go right here into these little holes, and inside these little holes you'll have two more bolts which are securing the oil pan attached to the engine. And to get access to them, I hope you are able to see exactly inside the hole. It will be one bolt into the left side and the other one into the right side. This is the first one, for example, on the right side, and right here on the left side it will be the second one. Right here it's this one. And to remove it, normally you'll have to turn the engine a few times. I mean, not a few times, but you'll have to rotate the engine until it will create a special place into the flywheel to create a space and put the tool to remove them. Because otherwise the flywheel, it will not provide access and will not be able to remove it and have access to the bolts to remove them out from the engine. Right here, for example, in my case, I'm using a 90mm socket to turn the engine, and just look right here into the hole. As I'm turning the engine, the flywheel, it's moving, and it's creating or is not creating me space to put the tool into the hole and remove the bolt if I want to remove it. Right now, if I turn it, it's creating me space. As you can see, the flywheel is moving from the gearbox and it's creating me a little hole from which I'll have to put the tool inside and remove the bolts which I have to remove. And if I turn it anti-clockwise in the other position, in the other way, it's also blocking the way and I cannot put the tool to remove the bolt. And you'll have to follow the exact same thing for the bolt from the left side and also from the one on the right side. Very good, everybody. So as you can see right now, I'm removing the first bolt from the left side, which is securing the oil pan attached to the engine from the gearbox area. I used a tool like this one and a long extension to give me access and reach the bolt. And in my case, the bolt, it's already disconnected from the engine, but it's still remaining stuck into the flywheel area. And to remove it, you'll have to use a magnet or something long to catch it and pull it out from the flywheel area. As you can see right now, I'm using a magnet, and this is the bolt which you have to disconnect from the left side, and you'll have the one exactly like this one on the right side in the other hole. Very good, everybody. So right now I am removing the second bolt which is securing the oil pan attached to the engine from between the gearbox area, and right here it is the second bolt as you can see it. And from here the only thing which I have to do left is to remove all the bolts which are mounted all around the oil pan and which are securing it attached to the engine, and then I can just lower the oil pan and remove it out from the vehicle. Right here in this moment, all the bolts are disconnected and removed out from the oil pan. I can just pull out the oil pan from the vehicle, and to remove it I recommend you to use a rubber mallet or even your hand if you are able to, and just tap slightly the oil pan from the top or from the corners until it will remove itself and until it will come out from the engine. So from this moment, the only thing which you have to do is to pull it forward. You'll have to move it slightly left and right, up and down until it will come out from the place, and then you can just pull it out from the vehicle. Very good, everybody. So as you can see, the oil pan is completely removed out from this kind of engine. Right here I have the oil pump and also the little belt which is driving the oil pump. And as you can see, the belt in my case, it's not broken, is not in a very bad condition, is looking very good in my case. For example, I will still let it drive itself until I'm going to replace the timing belt one more time, and then I'm going to replace it completely. And after that, right here in this area, everything is looking very good, everything is looking very clean and nice. I'm going to clean the engine one more time from underneath. I'm going to apply some sealant over the engine in this area, and also I'm going to clean the oil pan, and I'm going to apply some sealant over the oil pan, and I'm going to install everything back together over the engine like it was from the factory. Right here, this is the oil pan which is completely removed out from the engine. It has a little bit too much silicone on the corners, but it's nothing to worry about it. I checked the oil pump sump, everything is good, it's not blocked, everything is working and looking very nice. And if you want to clean all of this oil and all of this silicone from the oil pan, I recommend all to use a very fine sandpaper and also a very fine wire brush. And you have to use them very easy and very soft over the top of the oil pan. Don't force them, because if you force them, you can create some damage to the oil pan and it will not seal properly with the engine, so just take that in mind. And right here in this moment, I already cleaned the oil pan the best I could. I applied a very thin layer of silicone over it just to make sure that it will seal properly with the engine and it will not leak in the future. And this is the final product. This is how all the parts are looking. Right now, for example, it's ready to be installed back over the engine. I'm not going to show you all the installment because it's exactly the same like for the installment. And also right here into the engine area, everything is washed, everything is cleaned. I used a lot of brake cleaner to clean all the dirt and debris from the engine. And also I applied a very thin layer of silicone right here over the engine area just to make sure that it will not leak in the future and just to make sure that the job is done properly and correctly. From here, just make sure that you install everything back together and tie them to spec. You'll have to tie the little screws to 15 Nm and the bigger ones to 25 Nm. Very good, everybody. So as you can see, the job is completely done. I finished all the things which I have to do on this kind of vehicle. The full service interval is complete. I installed back all the parts over the engine. I installed back the oil into the engine. Just make sure that you have to put 7 liters of brand new oil into this kind of engine on a 2.0 Tdi engine on this Volkswagen Crafter. And with all of this thing being said, those are all the things and all the steps which you have to do and follow if you want to do a full service interval or if you want to replace the oil pan on this kind of engine. Thank you all for watching. If you like the video and found it informative, please leave a like and a comment down below. See you next time.